The very first scene in my short film was one that I wanted to be significant. I wanted this scene to be powerful and meaningful. In order to achieve this, I decided to develop a plan for the mise-en-scene, and this is where I came up with the idea to use the box. The box is one of the most significant props throughout the whole film. Despite my resources being limited and a cardboard box not being ideal, this worked perfectly for the atmosphere I was aiming to achieve. To create the scene, I had to run various test shots to ensure everything would look exactly how I wanted it to, by trying to convince the audience what was happening without showing it. During my process of rehearsals and test shots, I developed the idea to use photos and the labelling of our memories on the box. In addition, I added in the dropping of the photos, creating a harder hitting impact on the audience. This is significant in touching the audience on an emotional level. This was to show all that they had together comes crashing down as a result of his death, and the happy memories turned into sad ones because it reminds her of his death. In terms of my creative investigation, this interlinks because all my films consist of destruction. These are seen in my films such as The Vow, including the car crash, Memento consists of the murder, and more subtly still Alice in the lecture. This is a key part for the audience as it acts as dramatic irony, where the audience knows something that Kate doesn't. I decided not to add multiple cuts within the shot as it would broken up the tension and suspense. In post-production I included the door sounds, her speaking, and the ambulance siren. When thinking about the mise-en-scene, I ensured to choose the bedroom as the walls are painted blue. This helps to add to the atmosphere, creating an additional sadness to the scene. This is powerful to me as the emotional stage is a key focal point in my film. Another focal point of many films is sound. This is also a focal point of my film. I use non-diegetic sound. I decided to incorporate this into my film when one of my friends suggested I listen to this song, 7 Years by Lucas Graham. After listening to the song, I instantly knew that it would be perfect and significant addition to my film. I decided to opt for the instrumental version of the song as it rises and falls, which emphasises my storyline and builds the overall image. The use of the song pulls the whole video together and constantly reminds the audience of the sad times. When deciding to use sound, I knew this would affect my editing process. Because of this, I decided to lengthen some individual takes. By making them longer, I was able to build up the suspense. My main concern when starting this film is trying to explain it only 5 minutes by using the voiceover as kind of a narrator explaining what is happening. This made it a lot easier to connect one scene to the next. When making decisions on choice of scenes and in the order which they flowed, I decided to have them in chronological order with additional flashbacks. I feel deciding what scenes to have edited with the voiceover was a big decision. The decision is evident where you see the black screen with a voiceover of James reading the diary. This was a choice I made as initially I was looking to have James writing the diary with the voiceover. However, I felt having the black screens was more atmospheric and portrayed the emptiness as there is nothing to look at on the screen. The audience will listen to the words that are being said and know how Kate is feeling. In this scene I wanted to show the difference between the two characters straight away. I did this by the choice of costume and ensured that they're both wearing different coloured clothing. This was to show that James is in a darker place than Kate. This interlinked with the dialogue of him not remembering. This starts to tell the audience what is happening. In the scene I wanted to show the progression of the early onset Alzheimer's. I found having a realistic storyline allowed me to inform the audience as well as touch their emotions. Within the scene I decided to use a two-shot and have a close-up at the end to show facial expressions. In terms of costume I used dark clothing and sad music to create a negative environment to show the foreseeability of what's going to happen in the progression of the disease. By cross-cutting flashbacks and real-time narrative, it allowed me to show Kate is going through an emotional stage when reading his diary. By using the diary to inform the audience of what it's like to have Alzheimer's, it is educational and connects the audience to Kate on an emotional level. In this next scene, James is trying to find his keys. The location is in my kitchen because I wanted to create a realistic feel of a family home. This scene is made up of jump cuts of him checking different places. This again is to show the audience what it is like to have Alzheimer's and what is going on in his brain. This scene finally ends up with James looking for some milk and finding his keys. I made this part out of focus, showing James's memory loss and how he's forgetting things. Using costume I kept him wearing the same clothes as I wanted to show that it's the same day as the other scene, but at a different time, making it a little fragmented, kind of like Memento. In my focal film, the use of mirrors is very prominent in showing the true reflection of the main character. I wanted to add this to my film for the same effect. The use of the pills is similar to Starlight as she tries to kill herself using some. I changed this and used it to show that he didn't want to live his life taking pills to help him remember. The stylistic choice of making it black and white shows the main protagonist is going through a depressive state. This is very similar to Memento. I decided to use the kitchen again, creating a realistic environment, and the repetition of the kitchen creates a feeling of Groundhog Day, and he keeps living the same day over and over again. I positioned the shot with the orange juice to foreshadow what was to come. When Kate picks up the spoon, there is a short section of it out of focus. This again happens when James forgets something or does something wrong. This happens when James looks at the calendar, but in the dialogue you can tell the disease is getting worse. The final scene is based on the letter that Kate receives. This is a very important scene to bring it all together. I decided to go with the letter rather than it just being another log in the diary. This makes it more personal. The mise-en-scene shows the pictures of the couple together and the reflection on the relationship that the couple had, and that they had good times. I really wanted to make the scene as heartfelt as possible, by the words which I said, the pictures being shown, and the music in the background. This brings the piece together, linking this to my creative investigation, the scene in the vow outside the party, and the scene in Still Alice, where Alice and her daughter are sat on the beach, showing the acceptance of what is happening.